Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at Nobara Linux, and I hope I pronounced that right. Nobara Linux is based on Fedora. This is something that was brought to my attention by Gary Jenkins, who just happened to mention it casually, and I was like, Nobara, let me take a look at that. I think I've heard of it before, but I never really dug into it. So I thought, well, geez, let's take a closer look. So I'm out here at the Nobara project website here, and as you can see, they offer 3 different versions of Nobara. The official version, the GNOME version, and the KDE. And so today I want to take a look at the official version. The official version has a customized layout that has the more traditional look to it, and it's not so GNOME-y. And that's one of the things I like about it, because it has all the stuff that I like personally, and that probably a lot of non-GNOME people probably like, such as the bottom taskbar and the desktop icons, and a little more customizable through the tweaks and so forth. So that looks like a real winner to me. And then of course, if you want to try one of the other 2 spins of this, then if you prefer the traditional GNOME, you can scroll down and grab a copy of that right here, and that has the traditional GNOME look, so that way you can either just leave it the way it is, or you can customize it more to your own liking. And then of course finally we got KDE. So if you'd rather have a KDE spin, then you're not left out. You got it right here. And so like they say on the website, the only difference between the official ISO and the GNOME ISO is the official has pre-enabled extensions for a different cosmetic look. Other than the desktop environment, GNOME with extensions versus GNOME itself, or versus KDE, all 3 have identical packages, so that's important to know. The official ISO is aimed at people who like GNOME's functionality, but like KDE's layout. So if you prefer to make your own GNOME modifications, they recommend using the GNOME ISO and not the official ISO. Otherwise, if you want something that's kind of pre-enabled with all the extensions and so forth for a different cosmetic look, as they put it, then the official one is the way to go. So I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to hit this, load it in, and then we'll check it out. Okay, and here I am in the Nobara menu. So we got our ISO loaded in. I'm going to scroll up to start Nobara 36 because I don't want to test the media and all that. So we'll just skip all that and go to the first choice in the menu. And then we should be booting into, I guess, either a live environment or into an installer. So I guess we'll see. I think it's going to go into an installer. So that should be loading in about any second now. And there's our screen coming in, so cool looking. So it looks like here we got our desktop, and now something else is loading in, and there's our installer. Nice. And I'm just going to slide up a little bit just to kind of look cool. So we'll just click inside here and widen that up a bit, and then I'm just going to get out of the way a little bit more, go way up here, and as you can see here we got our system installation, destination, our root account, and user creation. They all have a little symbol, so I'm going to start out by clicking on our destination, and it's already checked by default, so that's good. And so if I just go with it the way it is, then it'll just overwrite everything that's on my disk. So that's good with me. I kind of want to do that. So all we really have to do from here is to go up and click done. And that is asking me to reclaim space because it's saying you don't have enough room. And that's because this hard drive has stuff already on it. And so that's the message you'll get if you have stuff already on your hard drive. We're going to just hit reclaim space here, and then that'll take us to another window. And that takes us to this window over here. Now we want to hit reclaim space. And that takes us into our another window here, and that's all the stuff that's on it, so we want to click delete all. And after that, then we hit reclaim space, and then that should take it out of it. And now that symbol has disappeared, so we don't have that anymore. If you want a root account, we can click on that, and I like having a root account enabled, and I'm just going to use the same password I normally use for a regular user. And that's all you really need. But if you want to have root SSH login, to your root account as well. You can check that and give yourself those capabilities, but unless you're really kind of technical, you don't need it. And now I'm going to create a regular user. This would just be me as a regular user, and so I'm going to type in Toadwick for a username, and then for a password I'm going to use the very same password that I used for the root account. For me, that's just less confusing, and I'm not working at the Pentagon anyway, so there we go. And so now here's our advanced user configuration. And again, unless you're really an advanced user with special needs, you don't have to go in here. So I just clicked on that just so you could kind of see what was behind that button. And so let's hit done, and that takes us back to our main area. And so everything is all ready to go. So I just hit begin installation, and now we're beginning. So I'm going to let this go, see how long this takes, and after it's finished, I will be right back. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay, I'm back. So everything went well, and that took a while. I think that took around maybe 20 minutes or so. So a little bit longer than some installations, but not a big deal at all to me. And so I'm just going to go in here in our power settings and just power off here. And then I'm going to scooch down a little bit while it's doing all that too. And we're going to restart. Then we'll be booting in. And there it is. There's our Nobara Linux boot screen there, our grub screen. So I'm going to hit that. And we're at 5.19.4-201 for our kernel. So that is pretty much latest and greatest. Actually, 203 is probably the very edge, and that's probably what it'll update after updates, I'm assuming. But we'll find out. Okay, and there's our Toadwick login. So I'm going to click that and just log right in. Nice. Looking good so far. So now we should see a desktop probably fairly similar to the live environment that was in the background there on our installer. Okay, and here's our GNOME 42 welcome tour screen, and we don't really need to buzz around in there. And while I'm in here, I'm going to change my display settings real quick and get us up to a good resolution. So let's just dump down here and select the 1920 by 1080, hit apply, and that is more civilized, so I'm going to keep those changes and close it. And here we are. Wow, beautiful. So now we have Fedora, except it's all customized and has extra repositories and all that other cool stuff that normally you have to spend time customizing after you install. So this is already looking cool. And here's our bottom panel, and we had our package manager, and then this is an AppImage Flatpak manager. Cool. So they got it separated. And then of course over here, I'm going to jump out of the way again, but those are like our window settings. And then here we got our power strip again, and our sound settings are all in the same thing. So I like that. I think that's cool how they got all that consolidated together. That makes it really nice. That's one of the GNOME touches I think I really like. And then here's our clock and our calendar. And notifications and all that are in here, and you can integrate weather into this area. So that's pretty nice too. I like that. Another nice touch. If we move over here to our menu, here we have our default menu here, and this menu I believe is also a custom thing here. So you got to click inside to actually get to the categories, and then click back. So when you're in a category, when you click a category, you still got to click back too. So there's a lot of clicking involved with this menu, which is the only thing I don't really like about the menu that much, although it looks nice. However, if you want to change that, you can right click here, and then you can go up to customize menu. And if you select that, then it'll open up our menu settings, and you can see here we have our customized settings here where you can just tweak your menu or the look, but you also have a layout here, and you can change layouts. So I think this is really cool. And so here, like, we have traditional menu layouts, modern, touch, launcher, and alternative layouts. Right now we're in the traditional layouts, and this is the ARC menu. By default, we have our pinned apps as our default view when you go in there. And then they have all these other things here that you can toggle on and off, like extra shortcuts and categories and links and so forth. So that's kind of nice. But what if we want something different? Well, we can just click in here, and then here we got choice of like brisk, whisker menu, cool, mint, budgie, and our GNOME menu. So let's pick one. Let's try mint and see what that looks like. That looks interesting. So if you like the cinnamon style, there it is. And wow, that looks great. And so the categories are not switching by hovering, but you can also do that. You can click here on the mint arrow, and then here we have category activation, and if you select mouse hover, then it will change by hovering. And not all these menus have that option, but the mint menu is one of them that does. So now when we scroll over these categories, it'll change just by hovering. So I like that. That's a feature that I like, and this is probably a menu I would go with because the cinnamon menu is one of my favorites, cinnamon and whisker. So there's our whisker menu. So if you like the XFCE style whisker menu, you can choose it there. Or if you're a GNOME menu person or budgie, you got your choices there. So that's really cool. And then here in our modern menu layouts, we have like a Unity look. So that's cool. And our plasma style, Tongi, whatever that is, Windows, Windows 11, Insider, and A.Z. Not sure what that is either, but cool. So let's just click on one for the fun of it. How about the Unity? That's got me a little curious. So if I apply that, come down here, and now we got a different look. So that's kind of cool. Gives you pinned apps and shortcuts. Don't see much else there. Let's try something else. How about the... Okay, that didn't change. I was trying to change it to Windows 11. Let me expand this. I think there's supposed to be like an apply button. Oh, there it is. Okay, I just had to scroll up. So let's hit apply, and there we go. Now it's more of an 11 look, but still not seeing much. We got to go up here to all apps and click that. So now we can see all the different apps here in alphabetical order like you see on Windows. But I don't like the all apps showing up first. I guess we could disable frequent apps. I don't know, but let's try another layout. Let's go in here and go back to the Arc menu. If we go in the Arc menu settings, I forgot to show you this, but by default it's just showing you the pinned apps. But you can go in here and select category list. And then when you go to the Arc menu, then you can go straight to the categories. So that'll save you a click from having to go to all apps if you like your categories showing up right off the bat. So that's a little nicer. Then you only have to click back and forth when you go inside a category, which to me is still kind of a pain. But and you can go straight to all programs, so you can just skip the categories and just use the alphabetical route like you do in Windows. So if you kind of like the Windows style, then this might be your best choice if you want to stick with the Arc menu. So that are some options that you can. And then here's frequent apps if you only want to see your frequent apps right off the bat. And then you can click all applications if you want to go see them all. So lots of choices with the Arc menu. So that's not really a bad default. But regardless, I think I'm going to stick with Mint. So I'm going to go with that. And it saved my mouse hover settings from last time. So that's cool. I'm impressed with that. They didn't all reset. So here's my Mint style cinnamon menu here. I like it, so I'm just going to kind of go with that for this review, I think. So really nice. I like all the options here and how customizable this is. And here you can change your position in the panel. You can have it in different places, and also other options that you can change if you want to show other things, aspects of the menu. And then here we got our theme, so you can even override the theme of your menu and just kind of give it your own different look. Under menu styling, you can customize it to your own taste, or you can pick a pre-made theme here. Like here's dark blue, so if I click that and go over here, now we have this kind of bluish color tint in our text for the dark theme. And if we go to like light blue, then it'll be tailored to a light theme with a bluish overtone. So I like that. That is really cool. And then we have Simply Dark. And I like that even better. That's Simply Dark. That's probably my favorite right there. So that looks really nice. I would probably go with that. Now, if you want to do your own customized menu, and style it your way. You can choose your own background color, foreground, border, and the width of the border, and the fonts, and the sizes. You can really tweak this to any way you want. And then you can go up to the button there and save the theme, which I love. And then you can even click the Save as Theme button there and save your own custom theme, which you can load in later. So that is really cool. Right now it's disabled, I think, because we have our current theme selected here. But if you make any changes, you can change that menu styling and save your own theme. So that is really cool. I like that a lot. And then of course you got other tabs here like your theme settings. You can scroll down, change your menu item styling and all that as well. And then under the Customize tab there, you can even tweak the size of your panel, how high you want it and how wide and all kinds of stuff. So you can really tweak this down on a great level, which normally GNOME and tweaking just don't go together, even though they're getting better. It's nice to see something in here that's so tweakable. So I really like this. They really did a great job with these Arc Menu extension here. I love it. Now let's go in here and take a look at our Package Manager. So this is our Nobara Package Manager that we have. And so let's see what this is like. I don't think I've ever really looked at this, and it doesn't look like DNF Dragora to me. So let's see what we got. All right, so here we have a bunch of things, and they're all kind of shaded pink. That's because those are waiting to be updated. Packages that are installed that don't need updates will be blue color, and then things that are requiring updates will have that pink shade there to it. So now I'm just clicking on Available here, and it's going to add in packages. And so here we got all these different things, and it's kind of got that yellowish tint to it. So these are things that are not installed yet. And so here I just typed in Inkscape, and you can see Inkscape is installed, so it's highlighted in blue. So that is cool. And then down here we got our description, and beautifully laid out too. I love the theming here, and this reminds me a lot of Synaptic from Debian or Ubuntu. And so I really like this package manager. This is looking cool. And I see that Inkscape was also the latest and greatest. And here we have our groups like Synaptic, if I remember right. And so here, wow, we have all these desktop environments we can easily install, like our Cinnamon Desktop, Deepin, GNOME, KDE, LXDE, LXQ, Mate, Sugar Desktop environment. Wow, I'm not familiar with that. And the XFCE desktop there at the bottom. And then our base system. So you got all these, and then all our different applications. So the groups is something I really like. It's really nice if you want to just quickly find something, especially if you wanted to install another desktop. Clicking the groups tab up there makes it really easy to just get straight to the desktop environment that you want to install. So I'm really liking that. And there's the XFCE, so if you wanted to install that right alongside this GNOME, you could do that as well. Nice. It has all the cool things there that go with it. And then of course applications. So you can go up here and select applications from within the group. Most of the time for applications, I just kind of stay in the packages area. But here in the groups, like if I click on one of these categories like graphics, you can see that ImageMagick is installed because it was highlighted in blue, and a few others there. And you can see Blender here is pink. So that means that it requires an update. So Blender is installed, but being that it's pink, when we do an update, that Blender listing there will change to blue once everything's updated associated with it. And again, clicking on Inkscape here, you can see that it is updated. So there's nothing in Inkscape or that Inkscape depends on that needs an update. But let's go to updates since we're talking about it. So I'm going to just click on that there, and let me clear out the search window. So now it's just going to add to the package viewer, and here you can see all the things that are requiring an update, and they're all highlighted in pink. So if I go up here and click the plus button, that'll select them all. So here we got a whole bunch of stuff, and I can see the kernel in there also has an update available. I think it was the 230. And our Flatpak, so it's got Flatpak installed, which that other utility down there kind of clued me in the taskbar. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK and let this do an update. And I'll just log in here, authenticate rather. And then we'll just let this do its thing. So right now it's just going to download packages here, and this could take a while, so I'll probably pause here. And now it's asking for a key. That's pretty normal, especially first time you run. It's got to update the GPG keys here on certain items. We're going to just hit that and let it do its thing, and then we'll click yes again. So that's something you'll probably see, especially the first time. Not every time you do an update, but occasionally. And since we're on the subject of occasionally, when I was showing you the panel items before, I forgot to show you one thing, and that's this guy right here. In our Windows setting here, there's a tiling feature that I think is really cool. So if you hit that toggle switch and tile that on, then it tiles your windows. So if you really like the tiling windows, then you can do this. And now I opened up my file manager, and so now it tiled it into two areas. And again, I'm going to slide up out of the way again, way up here. Then I'm going to open up my terminal, and then you see your terminal shows up down here. So the tiling is very good for a floating window desktop. This tile windows actually is exceptionally well. So I do like this a lot. And then here we got our settings if you want to tweak your tiling window settings, and you know, you're more advanced and you want to like make it do more stuff. Personally, I don't think I'd ever change anything in here, but that's where you can go if you want to add some exceptions, like maybe there's specific windows you don't want to tile and so forth. So you can put floating exceptions in here if you want. So that's nice to know. But there you go, our tile windows, and so easy to get to, very convenient that you can just go in there and click on that, and with a easy access flick of the switch you can tile or not tile. I like that, very nice. And so I'm going to let these updates just kind of run its course and pause the video, and then I'll be right back. Okay, and our updates are complete. Looks like there's two more remaining that just kind of popped up after those updates. So I'm just going to let them run too real quick. Every once in a while you get stragglers like that. Sometimes you got to update certain packages before you can update related ones that might be associated with them. And so I think that was the case here. And so I'm just going to let that do its thing. And now we're fully updated. So you see there's nothing in the window. So we're good there. So that is our package manager. So now when I go in here, everything is all blue. And then our Blender is blue now. That was pink before because it required some updates. And so now we have our Blender updated to 3.40 something. Nice. And then down here we got our package description and file list and package requirements. So you can kind of drill down a little bit in those areas if you want to see more about the packages that you click on. So that's our package manager. And then this guy over here is Flatpak-Snap-AppImage. So that looks interesting. Let's click on that. So that must be like a package manager kind of tailored towards that. So instead of having them both integrated in one, they have them kind of separated, which I think is kind of cool. So this is going to take a second to refresh, of course, especially the first time. It's got to populate the list and any metadata that has to go along with it. And so now it's looking for suggestions. I'll give you a suggestion. Load faster. It's not listening to me. Oh well. Okay, so here we have our Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Wow. So here types, we have web apps and Flatpaks. So web apps, they're probably like Electron apps, and then of course we have Flatpak. And so if we go in here and we sort it by web, then these are all our Electron based type things here. And it looks like these are maybe installed apps. So we have Google Keep, Photos, Gmail, TweetDeck, Evernote. So these all look like maybe proprietary apps that are available. And these are, I would say, proprietary Flatpaks. Except for Olive, I'm pretty sure that's open source. So I can't say they're all proprietary. And we got Celluloid. So it's just kind of a mixture. But this is 15 out of 30. and then back to web, and then if we go to type, I think it'll just kind of show both. Cool. And then installed, none of these are installed, so I hit that, and not really sure how to get back now that I did that. Okay, so down here we got application suggestions, more options, not seeing anything there. I like the full update option though, that's cool. Restore, yeah, that looks like something I probably don't want to do, even though that could be the key. But here's our settings. Oh, this is interesting. So here it looks like you can enable app images when it's relevant. So you probably got to install some app image libraries. It even works on Arch and Debian, it looks like, and snaps. So I don't have Snap installed. An app image, I don't know if that requires an app image daemon or something. Not real familiar with this at all. But these are all our different options. And this looks like it's really a very versatile utility here. I think this is all right. And then here's our advanced settings. You can even set it to multi-threaded download if you want. That sounds like something I probably would select, I suppose. By default, it's no, so maybe there's a good reason for that. I don't know. And then here's our Flatpak settings. So our default level is Ask, which I think is good. And then there's our web environment settings and Electron. So our minimum version is 7.10. Very good. And yeah, I still don't know how to get back to that original screen. So I guess I'll just close it and then open it again. There we go. Because I just wanted to look at one more thing. I'll slide this over. And then I'm thinking if I type something in the search, it should just like search FlatHub, I'm assuming. So if I type in, say, Inkscape, let's see if it shows up. So I'll just type it in there and see if we get a result. Nothing. Oh, I didn't spell it right. Okay, let's spell it with a K. And there we go. So we got a result, and it's showing two sources, Fedora and FlatHub. So nice. That looks good. So here we could install it, but we don't have to because we already have it installed by default. So we don't really need the FlatHub version, but that's really cool to know anyway. So I'll just close that and our console there, and let's go down and see what our installed apps are. So in our menu here, we got our favorites here right off the bat, things that we were already looking at, which is nice. Frequent apps, same deal. And then accessories, we got our extension manager, game changer. Let's open up our extension manager. So this here we have a listing of all the extensions that are enabled right now by default to customize this desktop. So we get this Nobara official look. And so we scroll down here and you can see all the great extensions in here like dash to panel and desktop icons, launch new instance, and places status indicators are toggled off in this case. However, you can toggle any of these on and off that you like. So nice. And then under our games category, we got all kinds of stuff to enhance your gaming experience like Lutris and Proton and all that. So really well suited for games here, it looks like. And then under graphics, we got Blender, HP Scan, Ocular, and Photos for photo viewing. The internet, we got Firefox, Steam, and Connections. And under Office, we got only Office installed by default. I like that. Programming, something called Game Conqueror. And so that seems to be a GUI front end for ScanMem. So allows you to kind of hack games, I guess. So that's kind of cool. Then we got Cheese, Kden Live, obs-studio. Wow, that's cool seeing obs-studio installed by default. I like that. obs-studio, of course, is what I use to do these videos. And it's a wonderful open source app. I even like the name. The name is like so versatile. I mean, it's like usable, OBS. Wow, kind of reminds me of that, you know, crazy uncle or relative that shows up that has allowed themselves to be conditioned and they sit around all day long watching political talk shows on TV and then the radio. And so they end up just going through life bitter and all ate up. And so they're all sitting at the table ranting and raving. And it makes me think of OBS-studio when I listen to this stuff. And then I look over and I say, OBS. And then of course, I get to look like, what the heck did you say, son? And so now I'm like, OBS, my favorite recording software. Yeah, that's it. All right, moving on. We have Rhythm Box, Videos, VLC Media Player. And then under System Tools, we got our Fedora Media Writer, which is wonderful. I love that. Our Flatpak-Snap-AppImage application that we were exploring earlier. And then under Utilities, we got all our cool stuff like our Disk Image Analyzer, Character Map, Document Scanner, and so forth. Fonts, Image Viewer, System Monitor, Terminal, and Tweaks. Let's try out Tweaks. So here under our tweaks, we got our GNOME tweaks, and it kind of starts out with this extension says moved message. So we just close that, and then here under our appearance, we can tweak our theme a little bit more. So we can go in here and just select a different icon set, and now we got our Breeze Dark for a more KDE style look. That's kind of their default icon set, I believe. And then we got our GNOME look there. And then we have high color, so our icons really change there in our file manager. And then high contrast, so that really makes it easy to see, like maybe if you have vision problems. But I like the Adwaita, that's nice for me. And then here you can change your background image if you want. And you can also do that by right-clicking on your desktop. However, you can do it right here. And you can choose from any of those images, but it's not quite as visual as if you were going to just right-click on your desktop. And then you have other options here like fonts. So your default fonts, you can be set there, and then your keyboard and mouse settings. Even has Emacs input if you're like an Emacs person. You can show extended input sources, but it requires an instant restart there. And then your shortcut key for your overview is your left super by default, but you can change that to right if you want. Then you got additional layout options, which is kind of cool. You can even choose currency signs here. So if you want to be able to make euro, they have some variations on the euro, which is cool, and even the rupee. So how cool is that? I like that. You can kind of add in those extra options there, and so you can substitute one of those keys to make that sign. So a very cool option. I like that. Something I haven't seen before. And then of course startup applications you can add in there, your top bar settings and your Windows title bars, and that's kind of nice. You can change your title bar to left, so now you got your buttons over here on your left side, kind of like on a Mac, and then the right just with a click of a button, so it makes it really easy. And then you can turn off your maximize and minimize buttons if you want them off and just have an X, but I like them both there. And then finally we got other here. So here we got like our HP driver setup, our language, Nobara Package Manager, and so some of the stuff we've already seen, but there's also Qt5 settings, and then our settings panel. So if we jump into our settings panel here, you can see that we got our network settings, Bluetooth, and then of course appearance. And so in here we can do some more tweaks to our appearance, and by default we're in our dark theme, but you can also change this over to a light. And let me just slide this over. So here we got our different wallpapers. So if we wanted to change a wallpaper, you can see that we're in our dark theme, so our wallpaper has a dark look to it. And then here we can go to light, and now we have a light look to our wallpaper. And so I don't think you can go vice versa. I don't know any way you can like have a light wallpaper with a dark theme, but you can just kind of give it a dark tone with the dark theme and like it or lump it. So yes, and some nice wallpapers in here. I kind of like the cherry blossom, so that looks cool. I'm going to stay with that. Then we have our notification settings, search, and I'm just going to make that bigger so it's easier to see. And then we got our multitasking settings. And then here we have our online accounts. So if you have any online accounts that you like using, like the Fedora Online, Microsoft Exchange, Flickr, Microsoft, Nextcloud, Google, and so forth, that's a place where you can kind of set those up. And then here's our sound settings. So we got our speaker volume, volume levels, output. Very nice. And then here's our power settings. and mouse and touchpads. And really, this is all the normal GNOME stuff you see. Your mouse, here you can select your mouse. If you're a lefty, you can change that primary button to your right. And we got our keyboard settings, printers. Of course, there's no printer hooked up to this machine. And then removable media, user settings. So here you can easily change your avatar or your username, password, and all that other good stuff here. And here we click on our little edit button and we can change our avatar. So I'm gonna just go down here and maybe pick this surfer dude. That looks cool. I know what you're thinking. I look just like a surfer dude. Not. Then we have default applications. So here you can set your default web browser or calendar, video player, and image viewer, and so forth. And then your date and time settings. Here we can set different things for our clock. By default, it's automatic. And then you can set your time zone, or AM, PM, or 24-hour. And then finally, we got our about here. We're running Wayland by default, which is really interesting. So that's cool. One thing I really love about the official version here is that you got it set up just the way I love it. I love the traditional look here that we have with the panel bar on the bottom and the menu over on the other side and desktop icons. Yet I have the cool other back-end features of GNOME right here, of GNOME 42. And to me, it's a perfect combination. It would take me a lot of time to have to customize my Fedora desktop to do all that. Not to mention that I'd have to add in the RpmFusion repos and Flatpak and all that other stuff as well to make it really usable in the way that I want it. So Nobara does all this for you. It's all customized and it is just wonderful. I think this is just something that if I was going to use GNOME, I would be perfectly fine with this. I would have no issue at all using this, and I can understand why Gary would never want to switch away from it, because he has found his comfort zone, his sweet spot, and for me this would actually be a happy place as well. So absolutely a double thumbs up on this distro. And I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to use Fedora but they want to spare themselves the customization and all that. Not everybody likes to get in there and tinker, but they like to have things set up nicely. So this is a perfect option, and I am really liking this. I think I've instantly become a Nobara fan. This is cool. So yes, absolutely double thumbs up. And I hope this review was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to leave a thumbs up for me. And hit subscribe. Ding. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.